Good evening. I am Dainku Alia Aiman. Today I will talk about our proposal, which is different types of calling among orangutan in Semenggol Nature Reserve, Kuching. This research can provide information of different types of calling among orangutan in different situations and different sexes. The objective of this research is to study the different calling among orangutan. We will use observation technique, which is participatory studies where the active researcher collects data to record or write in the area of respondent. We will recording the calls being made at the site. It is expected that orangutan do have different calls in different situations and different sexes. We hope that this research can contribute in conservation of orangutan so the people realize that orangutan are one of the endangered species in Malaysia that need to be protected. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Eugenie and I will be presenting the introduction of our proposal. Since there are two types of orangutans found in the world, the Bornean orangutan and also the Sumatran orangutan, they vary in many ways such as their morphological characteristics and also the way they communicate with each other. For our problem statement in this research proposal, we wondered so much about how these orangutans communicate with each other daily. On research questions, we wondered what is the best method to obtain the callings made by these orangutans, how many different types of callings do they have, and do each individual have different types of callings among each other or are they the same? We also wondered what is the most suitable hour to record these callings made by them and also how far can the callings be heard. Our three main objectives for this proposal is to study the different callings among orangutans, to differentiate the types of callings used in different situations, for example, the fight or flight situation, and also to differentiate the callings among males, females, and infant orangutans. For our hypothesis, we wondered if there are any specific types of callings used in different situations.
Hi, my name is Nor Sarah, and today I will be talking about the literature review part on our proposal. To understand better on the different callings of orangutans and why do they do these callings in the first place, three available literatures will be reviewed. The three studies that will be reviewed are by Lemira et al. 2013, Weinscheck, Demiris, and Eiler 2013, and Ross and Geisman 2009. Firstly, the type of calls generally studied by these studies. Lemira et al. Had studied hand and leaf kiss squeaks produced by orangutans. These studies were to investigate on whether these orangutans use tools such as hands and leaves to make their calls deeper to scare off threats, or were they done arbitrarily. As for Weinscheck, Demiris, and Eiler, they studied on the long calls of male orangutans to investigate on whether these long calls were to plan their travels or to communicate with other orangutans. As for Ross and Geisman, they studied on the circadian long call distribution in wild orangutans in northwest Borneo. It was to investigate on whether these long calls were made by orangutans were more frequent at a certain time of the day or was it consistent throughout the day. As for the habitat studied, Lemira et al. And Weinscheck, Demiris, and Eiler had studied the same habitats, which was peat swamp forests. As for Ross and Geisman, they mainly studied dipterocarp primary forest habitats. As for sampling efforts, Lemira et al. Had identified 27 individuals and followed these individuals during a total of 1,520.6 hours using focal animal sampling. 5 age-sex classes of individuals habited and unhabituated orangutans were taken into consideration. As for Weinscheck, Demiris, and Eiler, a sample of 1,169 long calls given by 15 different flenched males on 320 followed days were thoroughly analyzed. Travel direction was also measured from the travel maps relative to the male's location at the time of the long call. As for Ross and Geisman, they recorded occurrences of orangutan long calls at all hours of the day and night, a total of 318 hours. The date, time, location, direction, distance from the observer, and weather conditions were also noted. As for the number of calls recorded by these studies, Lemira et al. Had recorded unaided kiss squeaks for 21 individuals producing 714 calls, and for leaf squeaks they had recorded 12 individuals producing 76 calls. As for Winshek, Demiris, and Eiler, 15 individuals produced 1,169 long calls. As for Ross and Geisman, 151 long calls were recorded. As for the outcomes of different studies, Lemira et al. Had a hard time to conclude that orangutans use these calls to perceive threats as their results contrasted. The study concludes that leaf-kissed squeaks may be socially learned within each population and that they represent cultural variants. As for Wenshek, Demiris, and Eiler, their results indicated that fledged male Sumatran orangutans do make their travel plans at least a day in advance and announces them through their spontaneous calls. As for Ross and Geisman, results showed that orangutans emitted nocturnal long calls and the long calls appeared to be more evenly distributed throughout the day. This is not accordance to the behavior of orangutans that are supposed to be diurnal primates. As for the suggestions for a better study in the future based on these studies that were reviewed, a longer sampling period is needed to conduct a thorough research on different calls of orangutans and to fully understand the reasons for these calls. A following period of individuals of orangutans should be at a further distance to understand better on whether these orangutans are making plans for their travels or are they communicating their travels to other orangutans. Long-term study combining ethological data with those on circadian long call distribution would be desirable to further study on nocturnal callings of orangutans. Captive and wild orangutans should also be studied and compared on their behaviors and also on their social learning skills.
Hello, I'm Azatashi and I'll be talking on our methodology for this proposal. The fieldwork is going to be conducted at Semengo Nature Reserve, Kuching. The forest is mainly primary lowland mixed tropical forest. We'll be using the observation technique since the orangutan are well habituated to the human observers. The equipment should be binoculars to detect the appearance of orangutan, and the recordings to be taken will be using a recording device and a long gun microphone. These two brands are commonly used by researchers as they are more advanced and efficient. In the forest, the microphones will be placed in trees at a height of at least 10 meters. The observation of this study is going to be for 15 days in each month from June to November 2020. The subjects should include all age sex classes and the timing of observation is from dusk till dawn. Raven Interactive Sound Analysis Software is a program for measurement, visualization, and analysis of sound. So, we'll be using this to identify differences in the frequencies of calls when dealing with different situations. After being transformed into spectrograms, these spectrograms will be used to compare different calling forms.
Hi and Assalamualaikum Natasan. My name is Fatih Izzati binti Mustafa Bakri. Today I would like to talk about the research group. Firstly, we can see the permit application will be applied in May 2020. Once the permit application is successful, we proceed to the proposal writing and the presentation, and also the determination of sampling design. This also will be done in May 2020. Next, in June until November 2020, we'll be handling the field sampling and the sample processing. In addition, when we're handling field sampling and sample processing in September 2020, we also started doing our progress report until December 2020. After that, both data analysis and data interpretation take 5 months to finish, starting in December 2020 until April 2021. The data that obtained from the fieldwork will be processed. This data will be sorted nicely using Excel. Later on, the data will be analyzed based on our objective in this research. In March 2021 until April 2021, we will finish our final report writing. On the May 2021 is our final report writing, submission, and the presentation on what are our research about. In this case, our research is on different types of calling among orang-utan at Semengo Nature Reserve, Kuching.
Hi, I'm Eugenie and I'll be presenting the abstract of our poster. Apparently, native birds in Western Sarawak are slowly being pushed out of the urban community. This study is conducted to see how native species are being affected by invasive species in the urban avian community and to see how many types of invasive species are there. Line transects are used in estimating population densities along the roads of urban, suburban, and residential areas as it is less sensitive to errors in distant estimates. It is expected that invasive species will affect native species over time due to niche overlap and competition of nesting sites and food sources. Therefore, deeper studies and proper management should be done to reduce depletion of native species.
Hello, I'm Azana Tashi and I'll be talking about the result. Bird surveys with total of 288 hours of observations along a total of 576 kilometers of transects provided 31,229 bird observations resulted in 24 families and 51 species. The highest recorded observation is the Asian glossy starling, next the rock pigeon, Eurasian tree sparrow, and then the common myna. The IUCN 2017 Red List of Observed Species shows that 5.9% are near threatened, 2% are vulnerable, and the other 92.10% are the least concerned species. Only 11 species out of 51 species are protected under the law of Sarawak. The next graph is the density of 8 species having highest density recorded among 43 species observed. Based on this graph, the highest density recorded is the common myna and the least species is the zebra dove. The native species such as cinnamon-headed green pigeon, chestnut monia, and the paddyfield pipit were in the low density category if compared to the invasive species such as common myna and Eurasian tree sparrow.
Hi, this is Sarah again, and today I'll be talking about the discussion part in our poster. Based on the observations obtained, the highest number of species recorded was the Asian glossy starling. This is probably due to the starling having an opportunistic nature to compete for cavity nesting sites. And this also might be because of the presence of edible fruits such as Ficus benjamina. The existence of buildings, air conditioners, and other urban structures provides more space and opportunity for these species to thrive. As for the common myna, they accumulated a total of 3,962 observations. This could be caused by the fact that mynas are aggressive and territorial by nature. Migratory birds were excluded in the observations to prevent the influx of a migratory season affecting the overall density of the birds in the study. The native species were in the lower density category than invasive species. This is probably due to the aggressive behavior of the invasive species birds during foraging and also during finding nesting sites. Competition for food could also be a factor as the diet of invasive species coincides with the diet of the native species. Common mynas can also be seen nesting in the building crevices or tree holes, which may affect the native species that also nest in these tree holes. This may be partially the cause of the decline of the native species.
Hi, this is Fatih again. In conclusion, from this study, there were several issues that caused invasive species influence the native species in the Western Sarawak. For example, niche overlap, competition of nesting, and also food source. Therefore, more studies should be made for several years in order to determine the suitable method to eliminate the invasive species in order to protect our native species.
Last but not least, we thank Malaysia Ministry of Education, University Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS, and the Sarawak Forestry Department for supporting this research. That's all from us. Thank you. Stay safe and take care.